Hey, Connor, good to see you here. Let me make sure we got the audios right. There we go. We made some adjustments last class. Connor, what are you working on? Let me know. Office hours says Blake. Good to see you here, Blake. It is time for some office hours. Let's get those questions up and rolling. Jackson, good to see you here. Let's see. Office hours questions. We have a question already from last office hours. Crowd management strategies. It's like crowd crushing stuff. It's a horrible question. Mo, good to see you here. Can we possibly go over the third data analytics assignments? I'm having difficulty interpreting the graphical displays. Yeah, Mo, let's do that. We got a few questions to start. You're here, so let's do that. Data analytics 3. So stat tool 1. Okay. Stat tool 1, data analytics 3. Let's take a look. Data Analytics 3. When is it due? It is due on the 16th. Coming up. Good question right here. And pivots are due in a good while, so we're fine on those. Okay, let's look at Data Analytics 3 right here. Let's put the timestamp in here. Chapter 3. No, Chapter 4. Quiz. And 2 seconds getting organized on this. And no. Whoops. Stat Tool 1, Chapter 4 quiz. Good deal. Okay. Let's take a look at the data analytics. Here we go. Okay, we've got Data Analytics 3 currently on the screen, and good to see everyone here. Drop those questions in the chat, and you're free to show up here anytime and ask those questions. So when you're doing these right here, I'm going to work with different data sets a lot of times. I'm not going to do the exact thing you're doing, but you have to make a mosaic plot, and you have to make a side-by-side box plot. So with this, take a look at how you'll be graded. First thing, and few people have missed this, put your name at the top of the document. So if you're working right here with me right now, you want to go into a document and put your name at the top. Brian Stevens. Don't put Brian Stevens, though, because I'm Brian. Maybe you're Brian Stevens, too, so then put Brian Stevens. Only if you're Brian Stevens. So now that we have our name at the top of the document, we have secured in 1 point. Got some lunch. Got some energy. Now we need to go about and take a random sample. So let's go right here and download the data. I think Jump's going to ask for my license again. I need to totally reinstall Jump. Every time I open Jump, it's like, you need your license, Jump. And then I go and click the license. Jump says, thank you for the license. And then Jump opens. Odd. But we'll take it. So here we are with the data set we are working with. Make sure to take a random sample for 1 point. To take a random sample, go here to Table, then Subset. Table, then Subset. Under Table Subset, you will then type in under random sample 600, I believe, for this one, plus the last 2 of your UTID. Make sure it's the last 2 of your UTID. 600 plus the last 2 of your UTID. It'll look like this. And you'll know you've taken a random sample if the bottom down here has a random sample. So the random sample right here of 611 shows I've taken a random sample. It'll also show up in your graphics as that amount. So now we've secured a few more points right here by taking a random sample, and then we need to use it for the remainder of this assignment. We need to visualize the mosaic plot. We need to interpret the mosaic plot. We need to visualize the side-by-side box plot, and we need to interpret the side-by-side box plot. And take a look what you have right here. Mosaic plot created with all the required instructions. The write-up includes numeric information. This is where people are usually going to lose points, is by not writing about the numeric information. About the nature of the relationship between the variables, that's huge right there. Next, for the box plot, side-by-side. Proper screenshot, visualized right there with all displayed information there. Write-up includes numeric information about the nature of the relationship, so usually people aren't going to give the numbers. It's better to write a little bit more than a little bit less. You could lose points if you write things that are wrong, but a lot of times people just don't write enough when they do the interpretations right here. So the mosaic plot, let's take another note right here. So getting started. And another note right here, we'll go 555, Stat Tool 1, Data Analytics 3, Mosaic Plot. So when we are doing a mosaic plot visualizes what kind of variables. This is a big note to have, but type it in the chat. A mosaic plot visualizes the relationship between what variables. Look at the screen for hints and make sure to maybe even write this down yourself. A screenshot's good, but a mosaic plot visualizes the relationship between what kinds of variables. A mosaic plot visualizes the relationship between what kind of variables. So if you're watching the video right now, try writing it down or type it in the chat. A mosaic plot visualizes the relationship between what variables. Remember, Mubot, he's awake, so let's throw out if people have talked. We're throwing a big 500 points. But who's been talking? Mary, you got to talk to get those points. Mubot's dropping points in the chat. Mosaic plots visualize the relationships between what variables. So you want to go here and here. Mosaic plots visualize two categorical variables. Mosaic plots visualize two categorical variables. They're also paired with, great job, Jackson, right there. Let's throw another 500 points in the chat. Great job, Jackson. They visualize the relationship between two categorical variables, and they also go hand in hand with contingency tables. I'm not a big fan of stacked bar charts or side-by-side pie charts. You can use those, but I'm not a big fan of them. So now we are going to use the variable Q29 smoked weed and Q4 relationship. I'm not going to use those, though, because I'm not doing the exact assignment. I'm going to use totally different variables right here. And when you are doing this right here, your contingency table is only going to have, so it says in the contingency table, remove the total percent and column percent. We need to remove those, so let's do that. Here we go, by making the graphic with our random sample. I am doing different variables. I am doing different variables. Do not do the variables I am doing. Analyze fit y by x. I am doing different variables. I'm going to keep saying that while I do it because I don't want someone to do the variables I'm doing. I'm going to look at if somebody has broken a bone, and that'll be my y variable of interest by their gender. I am doing different variables. Someone type in the chat, yes or no, should you use the variables Brian has right here? I am doing different variables than your assignment. Should you use the variables Brian has right here? Should you use the variables, yes or no, in the chat? I want to make sure before anyone does this. Should you be using the variables? No, Jackson, you're right. Great job, Jackson. Do not use those variables. It's not your variables. Read your assignment for your variables. So now we go right here, and what do we see? We see a mosaic plot and a contingency table. Now, what I like to do is I like to click this little crosshair right here, the selection tool. Click contingency table one time. Click that. Now that it's highlighted, click it another time. Don't click it and then drag. Click it one time to highlight it, let go. Then click it another time and drag and drop. Got to remember the order, Brian. Before doing this, remove out the variables. Sorry, everyone. You're watching and say, Bryce did it. Remove the variables, total, and was it column percent? Let me double check the instructions. Total and column percent. You can remove those right here by clicking the red arrow. Hold on, you're lost. I'll slow down. You ready, Jackson? To make a mosaic plot and contingency table, go to Analyze Fit Y by X. To make a mosaic plot and a contingency table, go to Analyze Fit Y by X. Are we good? Type Y or N in the chat, like if you're good on this. To make a contingency table with your random sample, go to Analyze Fit Y by X. Got that? Input the Y variable of interest. Make sure you're using the Y variable it wants you to enter in because it specifies a Y variable of interest and an X variable to use. The Y variable of interest will go up here in the Y variable spot. So I am choosing for mine, not yours. I am choosing to analyze if somebody broke a bone for my Y variable of interest. And then I am choosing gender here for the X variable of interest. Now that we have the following graphic, we're going to go to the contingency table where the red arrow is at, and we're going to remove out. So click the red arrow on contingency table. This lets us deselect things or change things. So we're going to uncheck total percentage, and we're going to uncheck column percentage. When you do this, you will only see inside of it the count, which is how many observations there are in each group, and the row percentage, which would be of the females, what percent have broken a bone. And you can see 38.79, which corresponds right here to the top, where you can see 38.79. So that number right there, 38.79, is a conditional distribution given someone is female. This is the 135 females who have broken a bone, which represents, you can see it doesn't, oh, there it is, 135. 135 and 38.79, those are the numbers right here. So the mosaic plot is visually showing you this. Understanding what the graphic is showing you along with the table like the 213 down there in the table, with 61.21% of females having not broken a bone, is important to understand for both the assignment and the tests. How are we doing, Jackson? Does this make sense? If you have this right here, you're good. Like, this is what it wants. Not this literally, but having this right here with the conditional distribution for your X variable of interest, you're good now. Now, this is an added thing I like to do to make it look nice, is I click right here, and then I click the contingency table once. This is just added to make it look nice when you take your screenshot. Once you click it once, don't click and drag yet. Click it one time and let go. Now that you've let go, drag it over to here and make sure it has the long blue bar. When you've done that, you've put them side by side. It's just a nicer thing. And then usually I make this a little bit bigger. And take a look. We now have a really great screenshot. There we go. Look at that. Nice and perfect. That's the kind of screenshot we're looking for. If it's a little longer, that's all right. Yeah, Jackson, great job. Keep it up. You want your screenshot looking like this. You want your screenshot looking like this. So you can see, we check, we have count and row percentage. We removed out the total percent and the column percentage. So we've got those removed, and we just have this right here. And now we need to interpret it. What is one thing that's really easy to see right here? How did you move it again? To move it, I don't know if I can go back in time. I can. To move it, click the selection tool right here. It's after the question mark. Click the selection tool, and then one click on contingency table. Now let go. You don't want to click and drag. Once you've clicked it and highlighted the table, click and drag. So click a second time and move it over to here. You'll see a long blue bar appear. There's different long blue bars. Just make sure you don't throw it like somewhere there. It didn't even work. Don't throw it somewhere there either. Where you're putting it is where it's going to go. So you want to go right beside it like that, where the long blue bar appears. I then click on the arrow tool right there to make this a tiny bit bigger so I can take a really good screenshot. Adam, great to see you here. Good stuff. Good to see you, Adam. How's this looking? Is this making sense to everyone right here? So I've got a nice screenshot. So I moved it over. It's all right to screenshot it if it's below it, but I like to put it beside it to make it look nice and pretty. And you should get something looking something like this for your assignment. So now that we have a mosaic plot and a contingency table, we have to interpret it. What is the first thing to clearly see right inside of here? What is something very easy to see right here? And we would start quoting these numbers. I'm not going to write it. Doing well. Life out of college has been very different. Oh, Adam. Awesome. Well, I hope it's going well. What do you notice? As Brian can't highlight on that. Nope. What do you notice? What do you notice? And then we would quote the numbers. Given that someone is male, what? Given that someone is female, what? What would we say? And we'd quote these numbers. And so what would you say? How would you write this as sentences? So try to write a few sentences and then just compare the numbers, maybe subtract differences. You want to actually give values, like give numeric values. If you're not giving numeric values in your write-up and mentioning these values to us and what they mean, the percentages are going to be the important thing right here. So like, given that someone is male, they are, well, you would say maybe males had someone who was male, which is a conditional distribution. Given someone is male, the probability of them breaking a bone was 56.27%. Whereas given someone is female, the probability of them breaking a bone was 38.79%. This is a difference. I would actually mathematically subtract them. So I'll do that. So 56.27 minus 38.79, and it's a difference of 17.48%. So you see how we are giving the numeric values in our write-up. So, I mean, you can see the difference right there. It looks to me, does that look like there's some sort of association with male, female, and breaking a bone? Does that look like there's some sort of association right here that males might be more likely to break a bone? Like, what do you think about the association here? What do you think about the association? Like, talk about it. Say like, it looks to me like there is not an association. It looks just random chance. I mean, direct. Well, so what would you say? How would you talk to me about, like, it looks to me like there is or is not an association. And it looks to me that the association would be what here? Like, if I'm to describe the association. Association means if we know somebody's gender, it would give us information about them breaking a bone. If there is an association, then knowing somebody's gender would help you narrow down the possibility. Doesn't mean they have broken a bone if you know their gender. There is, well, so we might not use the word direct. Direct might mean cause and effect. Blake, good answers right there. I'd be wary of saying direct. I wouldn't count on points, but we might say there looks to be some sort of association where males are more likely to break bones than females. Does that make sense? It doesn't. I mean, my sister broke a bone. I don't know if my brother's ever. I broke a rib recently. Ribs are bones, right? So sorry, Darren. Hope you're doing well. It was his first bone. His first bone broke was a rib. That would be a bummer. I don't know what bone. Break your pinky. Break your pinky toe. I don't even think they do anything when you break your pinky toe. They just say get well soon. You get a get well soon card from the doctor. It's a bummer. So with this right here, there does look to be some sort of association. Does that make sense, Blake? And then you want to quote the numbers. You want to talk about the nature of the association. And that's what the assignment should be mentioning right here. So we've done that. Include a short write-up about the nature of the association between the two variables. Include the row percentage or the size of the column. So you could mention the numbers. That's the counts in the values. So any questions on the mosaic, you need to make sure to be quoting these values. I'd probably quote the row percentages right here and compare them to say, given somebody is male, here's the probability of this. Given someone is female, here's the probability of this. You could compare it to the overall distribution and say, overall, the marginal distribution shows. So here's the margin. Oh, that's the margin of gender. There's the margin of breaking a bone. Overall, the marginal distribution shows that 283 people broke a bone out of 611. The marginal distribution shows 46% of people broke a bone, but males had a 56% probability, so males are 10% more likely than just a general person. It doesn't mean you will break a bone, it just means you're more likely if you are male. So that is what we're looking for. Does that make sense on the interpretations and the utilization of a mosaic plot on the far side and a contingency table which go hand in hand to display bivariate categorical data? So good stuff right there. Hey, Taylor, great to see you here. Make sure, and I'd actually put it on the same sheet of paper. So now we're going to go ahead and do side-by-side box plots, which is what we were covering today at the end of lecture, or the start of lecture. So to do side-by-side box plots, let me take a note here. So let's add this in. We're going to be doing some more. So 22, Stat 201, Data Analytics 3, side-by-side box plots. What's up, Colin? Let's throw 100 points here. Colin bringing some pixie dust for us. Colin's always, I love it. We've had I think we've had 3 students come. No, we have 2 students come by today already. So thank you to Adam and Colin swinging by saying, hey, we need to make Stat Nation t-shirts. Could we do that as a benefit charity or something? And I could say to like former students or something, we could just do it as a charity. Like I'd want to make sure it was set up like officially. Like I wouldn't want to be in charge of the funds. I'd want to do it through something like Teespring or something. We could just make it say Stat Nation like this right here. I'm getting choked up talking about this. It's too much for me. Actually, I had to cough. But that'd be really cool. I would invest. Yeah, I'd love it. It was like $10. Like if we could get the t-shirts for like $5 or $6. Problem is, are you getting a good quality t-shirt then? So if we could get a good t-shirt, awesome, emotional Brian right there. So let's do this right here. Side-by-side box plots. So with side-by-side box plots, we are going to be using a quantitative Y variable of interest and a categorical X. Your quantitative Y of interest is the credit hours this semester, where your categorical X is, does someone have student loans? You are going to include the 5-number summary, and you're going to do it, I believe, via Graph Builder. You need to use the icon in the Graph Builder and include the 5-number summary. Make sure to click done. A lot of people don't do that. Take a screenshot of the output and insert into a Word document. Include a short write-up between this, including the key differences right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to make a side-by-side box plot. To make a side-by-side box plot, make sure to go up to Graph and then Graph Builder. Now you will be using your variables. Use your variables, not the ones I'm about to use. Inside of Graph Builder, and I usually don't full screen it because it creates some issues. We're going to choose, for me, a quantitative Y variable. You can actually eliminate down to just quantitative Y variables by unselecting character, and you just get the quantitative ones. So let's look at the age of individuals. No, let's look at, I think age is kind of boring. Let's look at how much people sleep. So we have here how much people sleep, and then I'm going to choose a categorical variable. You don't have to do these portions. Use your variables. Use your variables. Your variables are defined for you, which ones you'll be doing. But I chose a quantitative Y, and then you would choose a categorical S. Which number should I choose to compare people on their sleeping. Now, be careful. It could get crazy if we chose something like major. But let's compare sleep of people on what X variable right here. So we're just going to compare the sleep of people on what X variable. Awesome. We're about to do some more quiz questions here in a moment. Great job, Taylor. 100 points. Tell me the number. The number. We'll compare the sleep of people compared to different goes. Sugar is a major component. Awesome. I think we'll be doing that here soon. So we'll compare the sleep of people based on what? You know what might be interesting? Honors program. Okay, so if you look, there's less data in the honors program. And so let's go ahead right here. They look kind of similar, so this might not be very interesting. Can you go over the histogram assets of 79 companies? Well, yeah, Sarah, we can try to, you bet. So take a look right here. These distributions are actually very similar, but something weird happened. The weird thing that happened is you don't see the median. Why do you not see the median here? Why do you not see the median? And it's apparent when I hover over it. Why do you not see the median? Ooh, we got some good questions right here from Sarah and Taylor. Why do you not see the median in these box plots? The answer lies in the numbers. Why can I not see the median? And the answer lies in the numbers. Take a look at the numbers and tell me why I don't see the median. Why do I not see the median? And look at the numbers right here to see why we don't see a line for the median. Does anyone know? We'll go to a second or two more here, but look at the numbers, and the numbers tell you why you don't see the median. We don't see the median because the median is where? Hence, we can't really see it that well. We don't see the median because here's the median. So why don't we see it? The median is on top of complete Brian sentence. The median, the value of the median is on top of what? It's not categorical. The value of the median is on top of where? So the median is the 50th percentile, but the median is also in the same spot as the where, which we call Q3. The median is on the same spot as the 75th percentile. Q3 right there. There's the median 50th percentile, and there's the Q3 right there. Does that make sense, Mo? Good answers, Mo, right there. And so we can add the 5-number summary to this. Where's my options? There we go. 5-number summary has been added now. I'm going to go here and do this a little bit. And these are the screenshots we're looking for right here. I'm going to make it look nice and pretty. And there's the screenshot. If you notice, the median and Q3 are on top of each other. Muskin, great to see you here. So this is the screenshot you're looking for where you have the 5-number summary. Now, what you'll notice is these graphics are super duper duper similar. I don't really have that much to write right here. I can say that like both of these have the same IQR, which is what? These both have identical IQRs, which are what? What is the IQR for both of these distributions? I'm just giving you quantitative values to compare and say these distributions are identical in their IQR, even in where the IQR is located, because the values for the IQR of both of these is what? So think about what you would write when you're talking about this. The value of the IQR for both of these is what? That's what I'm talking about currently. The value of the IQR is what? The IQR is the range of the middle 50%. You can actually see it here visually. Visually speaking, it's this. So mathematically, it's what? The IQR is what? What is it? So we got to do Q3 minus Q1. So the mathematical IQR is found as what? It's 1. Great job, Blake, right there. It's 1. And it's even in the same spot. But what is one key difference you see? There's really only one key difference between these. The one key difference is what? Other than the not having more data, so the no group had more data. But what's another key difference? It has more outliers, right? This one only has a few outliers by the 2 points right there, where this one has more outliers on the low side, and on the high side, also the maximum is a higher outlier. Like there's a person who says they sleep 11 hours a night in the not honors group. So there's a further outlier, but maybe due to the more data we have in that group. There's also just more outliers in general in different spots, but there's more outliers. There's a more extreme outlier. But those are good things to note. I'd probably comment on the median too. They have the same center. They also have the same minimum. So does this make sense about what to write about? Like you want to say the median was the same for, like yours will be different probably, but you want to just compare these values and be like, oh, it's the same center for these or different centers. The difference between the centers is this. You want to quote the values, give numeric values and talk about them. If you're not talking about the numeric values, you're going to lose points. But does that make sense on these visualization assignments? Hopefully everyone's good on those. But that is, we just did both of them right here. We did side-by-side box plots and we did mosaic plots. How are we doing on those? Looking good? How are we doing? You're welcome, Mo. Excellent work right there. 100 points. We appreciate it. Always ask those questions. We'll jump in here and we'll answer as much as we can. We got some questions coming up right here. Let's go back to the main screen. Okay, we got a lot of good stuff right here. Let's check it out. In a way, box plots are the opposite of histograms. Ooh, I think we got the sugar one on here. Let's bump sugar up. Adam Levine would be very happy. And in a way, so Taylor says sugar. We got the sugar one. In a way, box plots are the opposite. And then we have a National Vital Statistics report. I think we did that one earlier, right? Yeah, we did the National Vital Statistics report. We did that one at the end of last office hours. Which one is... What does that do again at the end of it? I'm trying to remember the end of that one. We could go back and do it again here in a moment, too. We'll put that one on the list, but we might have to circle back. Yeah, we did that one. The blacks and the whites, right? It was on race and sex and all that good stuff. So let me reposition screen right here. Awesome. Let's head over here. Get the assignment up and going. It's the quiz right here, replace questions. And let's see. In a way, box plots. Let's see what this one says. In a way, box plots. In a way. In a way, box plots. Found it. Stat tool on. Oh no. Oh wait, sugar's a major ingredient. Oh, we'll do in a way, box plots first. Okay. In a way, box plots. 28, 23, stat tool 1, chapter 4 quiz. Here we go. Let's do it. Okay, so we have in a way, box plots are the opposite of histograms. A histogram divides the number of lines into equal intervals. They're totally opposite, really. Of data values. A box plot divides the data into equal parts. Okay. It does right here because this is the bottom quartile. This is 25 to 50%. That's 50 through 75. That's the top. Notice how there's very little data beyond this point right here, but that's the top 25% of the data. So let's hear it here. Explain how you could tell by looking at the box plot where the tallest bars of the histogram would be located. The last dot right there. The tallest bars are going to occur close to the outliers. The tallest bars, or the tallest bars. Well, that's the concentration of the data, not the last bar. The tallest bars. So that's going to be where the concentration of data are. The area in the box plot where the two vertical lines are closest together will likely contain the tallest bars. So the reason this is because there's more concentration of data right here, where you see the minimum right here and the Q1. This is literally 25% of the data. So it's talking about the vertical lines right here denoting the 5-number summary. So the data is very compact in this area because there's literally 25% of data here, and there's 25% of data from here to here. Let me show that visually to you by highlighting this and drawing it. There is the same amount of data in this little box. Like if we had people, the same amount of people would be in that box as there are. See, even I made an error right there. As there are in this. How much data is in this highlighted region right here? Who knows? And answer in the chat for 500 points. How much data is in that highlighted region? Hence, that's the box. So how much data is in that highlighted region right there? That's the box. So how much data is in the highlighted region right there? See if you can answer it. That's what percent of the data in the box right there. Just the box contains this percent of the data from your distribution. Well, it's Q3 minus Q1. So what percent of the data is that? 75 minus 25. So you got it, Blake. Get those 500 points. Not 15. Good guess, Jackson. Everyone, 500 points. 50%. The middle 50%. That's the IQR, the middle 50%. Think of 4 quarters right here. If we have 4 quarters in our data, well, with 4 quarters, the middle 50%, which is the box, is going to be 50%. Jackson, we're throwing another 500 points. We love all answers here. Keep answering questions. Good work. My copy paste is not working, so we got to drop those points in manually. Keep answering questions, keep practicing, and remember the box contains the middle 50%. So this down here is the bottom 25%. That's the bottom 25%, and this is the top 25%. And the bottom 25% is a lot more compact. So the area in the box plot where the two vertical lines are the closest together will likely contain the tallest bars, and it's talking about that right there, and that is true. Explain how both the box plot and the histogram can indicate skewed distribution. Well, the histogram is super easy. Just look at the shape of it. Box plots are a little bit more difficult. The outliers are probably going to help us there. The box plot indicates a skewed distribution because the minimum, first quartile, and median occur within a smaller range, while the spans between the median, third quartile, and the maximums are much larger. That is true. The histogram indicates a skewed distribution since the tallest bars are on the left side. Did we just get the right answer in one try? Yeah. And the tail goes out here. And also there's more distance between, it's talking about the distance here between the max and Q3 versus the min and Q1 is very tight. So when something is skewed, it's pulled out. And usually outliers are going to indicate skew. So that's another way to quickly look at it. Identify one feature of the distribution that the histogram shows, but the box plot does not. So the histogram shows the modality a lot better, and it shows the shape. So something dealing with modality and shape. The histogram shows the presence of outliers. No, they both do. The histogram shows the median. No, that's the box plot. The histogram shows that a very large number of values occur in the smallest bin, while the box plot does not. No, it's not a large number in the smallest bin. This histogram shows that the distribution is roughly uniform on the left side, while the box plot does not. Is it going to say it's roughly uniform? Oof. The interpretation on that, we'll come back to that. Identify one feature of the distribution that the box plot shows. I would say it's rough. Nuts. I'm going to get really mad at my Pearson if they say it's roughly uniform. Uniform means flat. That's unimodal. No, they can't be going with that's roughly uniform. It's... The histogram shows the histogram doesn't show median. That's just false. That's 100% false. That's false as false could be. The histogram shows the presence of outliers while the box plot does not. No, they both show outliers. The histogram shows that a very large number of values occur in the smallest bin. I think because histograms have bins and box plots don't. When they say smallest bin, I think they're talking about this down here. So they're talking about the values right here, but the way they word it, it's going to be that one. I'm 99% certain now because it's not roughly uniform. That's right skewed. Identify one feature. It's going to be the median if they're doing the same things right here. The box plot shows the location of the median while the histogram does not, so we should be good on that now. So yeah, that little bit tricky right there. I don't think it's total ban this question. Just the way they worded that one, because when I got to the last one, I was expecting it to be correct. Because these are obviously false. They both show outliers. This is a pretty good question. I give this question a B+ in terms of how it's worded, how it's written. Statisticians are always going to disagree on stuff. The histogram, you're like, Brian, you hate every question. I guess I do. A solid C. It's the way they worded this. I would preferably say the histogram shows the modality of the distribution better with the sharp peak. Because remember how I said it'd be something dealing with shape? So, and then both of these deal with shape right here. So histograms are better at showing the shape of a distribution, where box plots are going to show you the 5-number summary. So the answer to the last one was really obvious because the median is shown only in the box plot. So it has a lot of good understanding on it because you have to know box plots show 5-number summary and understand where those positions are at, the middle 50%, the bottom quartile, the top quartile, the outliers, and then understanding we see a better idea of the shape. I give it an A-. I'm not that mad at my Pearson today. It didn't trick me, so I'm not mad. Back here to the next question. Tricky question, but didn't trick me. Not today, my Pearson. That's what we say here. We say not today. We're going to talk about some sugar being a major ingredient. And Brian eating way too much sugar. How's that song go? Sugar. Awesome. Gonna take a nap. Sugar is a major ingredient in everything. Sugar is used everywhere and at all times. So, sugar. There's the crowd management. Let's do that one. Crowd management strategies. How does sugar? 13. Sugar is a major ingredient. Here is a histogram with the assets. Thank you so much. Let's grab this one. Here's a histogram. We were adding it to the list. Here's a histogram added to the list. We got sugar coming up right here. And this is at 3613. Sugar is a major ingredient. Let's do this. Okay, sugar is a major ingredient in breakfast cereals. And take a look what we have. We have what's up here. What is that graphic called? What is that graphic right there called? Someone's got to say it before we solve the question. You have to know what that graphic is. That graphic right there is called a what? What is it called? Hints on the screen right here. That graphic up there is called a what? It's comparing two different distributions. The distribution of adult cereals. Side-by-side box plot. Blake, great job right there. You're right. This is just a singular histogram, so we really can't tell the differences between it. Great job, Jackson. Side-by-side box plots up there at the top. It's quite clear to see. A or C has more sugar in it. What is quite clear to see right here? A or C has more sugar in it. Adult cereal or children's. This is the amount of sugar, and you can see that that's the highest point, which is a children's cereal. You can see this is the lowest points, which is an adult cereal. Clear to see the one with more sugar is what from these side-by-side box plots. Clear to see which one has more sugar in it. On average, like this, or we shouldn't say on average. Well, the mean has to be in there somewhere. The children's cereal, exactly. They show the median, so we could say the 50th percentile if we want, but the mean's going to be higher for the children's cereal. The range of the sugar contents, you would not want to put 0 to 70 because just because 0 is right here, that is not the lowest value. The lowest value is easier to see in the box plot because right here it says that it is 2. That would be in the bin from 0 to 10. So that's showing you that there is a value down here. And this is 25% of the data. That's a lot of data there. Hence why there's that huge peak like the last question we saw. And great job right there, Blake, in the answer. 63 minus 2 is 61. Blake, that's worth some 500 points for following along. We love it when people are following along and answering the questions as we do it. Thank you, Blake. Keep answering. So we got here 61. The shape of the distribution, is it talking about both of them? Bimodality. That is as people say, when is it bimodal? Well, that's bimodal. You know it when you see it, when it's bimodal. So bimodal means two peaks. Bimodal. Modal meaning concentration of data area. Mode means most often. So we're not saying there's two most often numbers. We're saying there's two concentrations of data. And there's a concentration around where adult cereals have the amount of sugar and a concentration where children's cereal have their amount of sugar. And this graphic is the same. If you're wondering, this is the same data. It's just that we're seeing it as all the data together right there. So what aspect of the cereals might explain this? Cereals either tend to be very sugary or healthy low sugar. Yep. This talks to like a spread. It says like sugar contents vary greatly among cereals. That would talk to more spread out data, like there's a lot of variation, so data has more spread. This data is spread out. Most cereals have similar, that's saying very little spread, so that's what they're trying to interpret or say to you right there. Cereals tend to be this or this. That's saying there's two modal areas. Like they either tend to have very little sugar or a lot of sugar, and we kind of classify based on that. Are all children's cereals higher than adult cereals? We want to go right here and with the data to say if all children's cereals, are they healthier, does it say? Higher in sugar. Okay, that's it, healthier for a second. That is true, right? Great job, Blake. So here is lowest, that's lowest children, and this is highest adult, and that is a true fact right there, because the min for children is higher than the min for adults. Which group of cereals varies more in sugar content? So when we look at this right here, we need to compare some aspects of this. There's two ways to look at the variation. Describe which box plots. Nice job. Here, we'll do that here. Put it on the list. These have very similar whats, but very slightly different whats. These are two measures of variation right here. So what would you say? I'm going to take down Taylor's questions right here. The whats for these distributions are very distributions. I can't say that word. The whats for these distributions are very similar, but the whats for them are somewhat different. Good job, Taylor. We're dropping all these questions here. The what for these distributions are very similar, but the whats for them are pretty different. So I've highlighted right here. The red is from the min to the max. The blue is from Q1 to Q3. So the what's for them are pretty similar, but the what's for them are pretty different. The IQR and the range, but in what order? I think you see it, Blake. Good work there, Blake. The IQR is what I've highlighted in blue, which is pretty different between them. The adults have more variation in the IQR, which is the range of the middle 50%. But both reds are pretty similar, so the adults and children cereals have a similar range to the data. Not the exact same, but you can see children have a much tighter 50th percentile, so the data is more compact in that area. So let's see what says that. Although the ranges appear to be similar, that's good right there. The IQR is larger for the adults, and I think we've done it. Great job. Another question done. Another 100 points earned. Let's do the next one. We're rocking and rolling right here, getting those W's every day right now. A study reports, loads factors, passengers, a study reports. I think we did that one earlier. We did all those, Sarah, good questions. We'll try to circle around to those. So, Sarah, thank you so much. And if we don't get to that one right here, Sarah, that's in morning office hours at 11 minutes in. So if we don't get to it right here, morning office hours, 11 minutes in. We always try to do as many of these as we can. So thank you so much. Sarah, let's throw Sarah some 500 points. Because, you know, someone's watching this video later, and they're looking for that question. They're wondering how we solve that. And thank you, everyone, for being here, because we're always trying to add more to these questions and understand what it's asking. So the next one on our list that we have not done today is going to be, here is a histogram. Here is a histogram. No, we say to that. Put on here.
Little bit.
No, wait.
Look at this graph.
Here is a histogram. Here's a box plot. Here's box plots. We got it. We got it. Let's start this up. Here we go. Here is a histogram. Oh, wait, we got it right here. 2 seconds taking the note. Got a lot on the list. So we are at 43. Stat tool 1. Chapter 4 quiz. Here's a histogram. So I have only one thing to say to you right now.
Look at this graph.
There we go. Look at this graph. What do you immediately notice about it? What do you immediately notice? Talk to me about it. We should be able to analyze and talk about this right here pretty quickly and easily. Some main things we can say. Boop. It is skewed to the right. It's got modality. It's unimodal. It's got one big hump right there. Right skewed, right to the high, left to low, whatever way the monster man's tail goes. It's got some high outliers there on the far side. So let's see what it's going to say right here for us. What aspect of the distribution makes it difficult to summarize, discuss the center and spread? So we know it's very skewed to the right. Ooh, look at this. Most of the data are found on the far left of the histogram. The distribution is very... Ooh, they're trying to trick us, right? Because they're offering two answers that have left skew, but right on the high, left to the low, whatever way the monster man's tail goes. So they're trying to trick you by being like, let's give you answers. The distribution is very skewed to the right. Well, yeah, it is. So they're doing the thing where they give you, like, you're like, oh, it's got to be one of these because I'm going to narrow it down. But no, they're like, no, tricking you. So what would you suggest doing with these data if you want to understand them better? Oh, gotta love some subjective questions. Do we just toss out outliers, yes or no? Do we just toss out outliers? Do we just toss out outliers? No, that's an obvious no. Never do that. That's a no, no, no. Should we use an inconsistent scale in histograms? Should we use an inconsistent... Does inconsistent sound good? Should we use an inconsistent scale? No. So we're down here to two choices. And the two choices are, we could re-express the data, which means just resolve the data, and we could use logs or square roots, or we could square them. What happens when you square data? What happens when you square data? Numbers will get water. Like big numbers will get much water if you square data. And I can show this right here. Big numbers get even bigger. So if we have skewed data, something like So your histogram of this data is going to look the following way. It's very skewed. If you were to take your data and square it, it's going to get even worse. So here we'll add in a few more values. There we go. It's skewed data, and it's still just horrible. But if we go in here and we take the log of it, log pulls in extreme values, and it might get slightly more normal. So if you were to square it, you're not really going to help your data look more normal and get something easier to understand where the values are away from each other. So this goes to the idea of mathematically logging them to get get values that might be easier to understand. So this is a little bit of a math question right here, like how could we make this data easier to understand? This data is very, very skewed, and logging values pulls in extreme values. These two answers right here are obviously wrong. So you would never use an inconsistent scale. That's a horrible idea. And you don't just remove outliers, as we said today. So you might try to reinterpret your data by like re-expressing it. Yeah, so that's a question. Okay, now on to the next question right here. Good question, good question, good practice. A little bit of math. I like the stats. Let's go back here, do another question. It is time for some crowd management strategy. Crowd management strategy. Okay, crowd management strategy. Got to find that one. Got a lot of these done today. Pearson asking those deep philosophical questions. Crowd management strategy. Here we go with crowd management. And let's take a look. Let's take the timestamp. Okay, 47:53. Crowd management. Here we go. So let's check this out. We've got some data to look at. So we got a histogram and a box plot of the victim's age. Crowd crush right here. Really horrible. Please be careful at concerts or at sporting events, especially when things get pretty hectic and crazy. You can see the range of people who unfortunately lost their lives right here. Sometimes what we deal with analytics is not the happiest of topics. So when you look at this right here, you can see that the oldest person who passed away was closer to 50. Closer to my age. So right here, we have about 48 or so. And down here, we have about 12-ish or so. Now, you got to be careful because the bins show you a distance. But what do you notice? A lot of people were around this area, and we can see a little bit of bimodality here. It's got some right skew. It's got a little bit of bimodality, which is not apparent in the box plot. This is the same data. It's the same information with the two outliers here and here. Outlier 1, outlier 2, outlier 1, outlier 2. So someone who's 34, so old, maybe 34, 35 in there. So what features of the distribution are seen in both the histogram and the box plot? Definitely the outliers. We've seen outliers there. Essentially symmetric, very right skewed. Okay, so now we got over here. It's not left skewed, so this answer is now wrong. Would you say it's bimodal? Yeah, I think it shows slight bimodality. Like there's definitely a modal area here and some slight bimodality. So it's like it's not as clear as the other one we saw earlier. Do we still have that picture? No, we don't. That's unimodal. See, look at this. This is 100% unimodal right there. Like that's not bimodal at all. This one here has slight bimodality. So unimodal, and then I'd call this slight bimodality. And because it's got a little mountain ridge right there. Is it bimodal? Slight bimodal. So right here, with two high outliers. So you see the outliers we were talking about. We've narrowed it down between these choices and these choices. And most victim ages, were they between 24 to 30 or 16 to 24? Most victim ages are where? 16 to 24 or 24 to 30. And look at the 24 to 30 range. And look at the 16 to 24 range. I'm pretty sure is 3 plus strictly. Which one, Wes? Can you expand upon that, Wes? So most victim ages are where? The concentration of data. So it's really talking about it in more of a modal sense. It's got slight bimodality, but the concentration of ages look to be between 16 to 24. And that's what's getting right here. There's two high outliers. It's very right skewed. and essentially symmetric, very right skewed. I never say it that way. What features of the distribution can be seen in the histogram that can't be seen in the box plot? And I think that's what we're going to see right here. The slight increase right here, the slight increase between 22 to 24 is apparent in the histogram, but on the box plot, it may be a second mode. And that's what I was talking about by the slight bimodality. I think he was saying the modal is, Wes, thank you for saying that. These little outliers right here, you want to think of it as like mountains if you went out hiking. So Wes, great comment. Wes, we're throwing you for some 500 points in a second here. This would probably only be 2 mountains. So those aren't little mountains right there. Those are little rocks. So if you think about this as mountain ranges, we probably only have 2 real mountains in this range. Does that make sense? So if you think about it as mountain ranges, that's probably 2 mountains. We wouldn't want to say that each one of these is their own mountain over here. That's not a mountain. So when you think of modality, you want to see like a decent mountain right there. So the modal areas need to kind of have a decent peak to them for us to consider it a modal area. These don't have enough of a peak to be considered a modal area. They're just outliers at that point. Does that make sense right there? Good kind of like what does a modal area mean? This right here probably wouldn't be a modal area, but that right there probably would be. At what point is it a modal area? Everyone's gonna have a little bit of a subjective call on it, but I think everyone in statistics would agree that this is bimodal data. That's bimodal right there, but not everyone in statistics is going to agree that that's bimodal. Does that make more sense, Blake and Wes right there? Like everyone in statistics is going to say, yeah, that's bimodal, but not everyone in statistics is going to say that's bimodal. Like some people will say that's a bit of an outlier issue. I think most people would say that's bimodal, but then you go into like a really even lesser one where maybe it looks something like that, and maybe people would say that's not really bimodal. So when is it bimodal? We have the obvious nature of when it's bimodal right here, but then you can get into more kind of uncertain areas of when we say it's bimodal. It's just a word to describe things, so it's hard to say exactly when it is it if it's kind of close in some areas. What summary statistics should be used? It's skewed. What's the best center? It's skewed. I'm just going to look for one word. Not even looking for it right now. What's the best center? It's skewed. What's the best center? It's skewed. Just don't even worry about the question answers. It's skewed. What's the best center? Oh no. Don't worry, Blake. Blake, 100 points. It's skewed. It's skewed, Blake. It's skewed. Blake, it's skewed. It's skewed. We said it's very skewed. Very slightly skewed, or we still said skewed. It's skewed. It's got outliers. It's skewed and it's got outliers. Skewed with outliers. Measure of center should be what? Median. Blake, you just tested us right there. Blake, we're throwing you 500 points to cheer you up. Don't worry about that. Blake, 500 points to cheer you up right there. Remember, if it's skewed, then we're going to use the median. Now that we've decided upon the median, so let's see right here. The median would be the most appropriate because there's skew and outliers right there. So I thought the mean followed. It does, and that's why we don't use it, because it's influenced. So that is correct right there, Blake. The mean follows the skew. So the mean might not be a good representation of the middle because it's going to chase the skew. So that's why we don't use it, because that's a bad thing. We want to use something that doesn't get influenced by the skew of the data. So the median is a better measure of center because it's not going to be impacted by the skew. So that is a correct statement right there. Good job right there. So the mean will be higher than the median. What summary statistics should be used for spread? So what should we use for spread right here? What should be the spread of this data? Don't even look at the answers. Just remember what spread is for skewed data. So before you even look at answers, sometimes you want to think of like, if data is skewed, what is the measure of spread? Don't even look at the answers. Because we're going to know the answer and then we're going to find it in the answers. If data is skewed, the measure of spread should be what? You only have 2 things to pick between standard deviation or IQR. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're always here to practice and take guesses, put it on flashcards. If data is skewed, Sarah got it right there. Great job, Sarah. We use the IQR. So the IQR would be the most appropriate measure because of the skew and outliers right there. Same sort of idea, and I didn't click this one. The median because of the skew and outliers. We got it right. That's what we do right here. Beautiful question. This question gets an A+ right here. Great review question. Understanding what measures we use for center and spread. Good review right there. We got time for a few more right here. We got describe what these box plots. Here, we'll stay here on the screen. Stat 201. Keep this question. Hashtag keep this question. Let's put that as a quote here, Blake. Chapter 4 quiz. Okay. Hashtag keep this question coming in as quote. I think we're on 285, Blake. So now you can do hashtag keep this question anytime with quote 285. Quotes are like short. So quote 285, hashtag keep this question. And we've got right here, describe what these box plots. Okay, describe what these box plots. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm the keeper of questions. That describe the box plots. All right, look, we got an easy one. Short question. It'll be easy. Right? That's how it works. Okay, here we go. Let's check out the question. With this question right here, we're going to describe what these box plots are showing us. You can like the cylinders of the cars. You notice there's very little data right here. That's why that looks so weird. 5-cylinder cars, I didn't even know they exist. But this is actually the min, the Q1, the median, the Q3, and the max. That's why it looks so weird. We have here less variation in the 8-cylinder cars, the min, the Q1, the median, the Q3, and the max. Right here, the 6-cylinder cars do have an outlier. The 4-cylinder cars have the highest. And you generally see a pattern right here that as cars get more cylinders, their fuel efficiency goes down. Didn't know that. Maybe it's fake data. Maybe it's real data. These box plots show that as the number of cylinders increases, what do we notice right here? The fuel economy tends to decrease. That is true. Median generally decrease, going down right there on the medians. These box plots show that as the number of cylinders increases, as we go across here in the categories, it is a quantity, but we're using it as categories to break it up. The fuel economy tends to become more variable. No, it shows that they become less variable. This one's a bit of an anomaly right here, but if you notice the distance right here from the min to the max, 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 definitely going from 4 to 8. I wish it only showed that. It'd be quite evident then that the fuel economy drops. Also, we see here that there is less variation. So we should be right on this now. We got it. But notice how box plots can show you the variation from the min to the max. So there's less variation over here. This just means that there might be multiple cars here, but every car has the same value. So the min, the Q1, the median, the Q3, and the max are all in the same spot. That is a box plot, a very odd one at that. But yeah, good question too. Make sure to understand what it's showing you and be able to interpret this, because this is measuring the fuel economy for different cylinders of cars. So we're good on that one. Another question knocked out. That means we got time for a few more right here. Let's see, to help travelers know. To help travelers know. Okay, what about the is there a 16-cylinder car? I'm not a car guy. You could be making that up. 12-cylinder car? Yeah, I know there's 8 cylinders. I'm driving my little 4-cylinder cars. To help travelers know. I'm on my little Honda Accords and stuff. Hey, they drive me around. W16 Bugatti. That sounds really cool right there. That'd be cool. Like, I don't know. Like one of these days, maybe I'll get a cool car. It's like you have your like midlife crisis. You get like a really cool car. Am I old enough to do a midlife crisis? 1,500 horsepower. Would a Tesla be cool or like, nah, don't get a Tesla, Brian. Hey, Micaiah, good to see you here. If you got questions, let us know. I was thinking of getting a Tesla because like I'm so mad that you can't just buy your car from the car manufacturer. There's state laws against that. Like you can literally not buy your car from a car manufacturer. You can't go to the Nissan plant or the Honda plant and be like, I want to buy my car. Just have to shell out a few million. Oh, for the Bugatti? I was about to say Tesla's not a few million. Maybe the Bugatti. Okay, to help travelers know what to expect, researchers collect prices of commodities in 449 cities throughout the world. Accompanying box plots compare the average prices of bottled water, a dozen eggs, and a loaf of bread in 449 cities. Prices of all are in US dollars of June 2020, complete parts A through C. So it looks like eggs have more variability in it if you look at the distributions. Let's bring it over here into a word graphic to just talk about this before we start looking at what they want us to answer. I have a question about 474. Have we covered any of assignment 2? I'm having issues with my ASDOC character and breaking still. Yeah, we covered some this morning, and maybe you can message it here, but you might need to message me your specific code. Probably the best thing might be to DM me your specific code because we still have till tomorrow night, right? So DM me your specific code, and I bet I can take a look and it might be something really small. So that way I don't post the code here. But I bet, Makai, it sounds like you're on the right track and sounds like you're right there. So DM me the specific code and I'll take a look. And take a look right here. The water. Awesome. Great job, Micaiah. Ooh, tomorrow's going to be interesting. Woo! Tomorrow's going to be interesting. We got here the median. So eggs has the highest median. We got here the variability. Eggs has more variability in it. So this is just the range of it. Does that make sense visually right here that eggs have more variability? Water has the least variability. There are outliers in all the distributions. So the outliers. There's outliers in all the data. The highest median is eggs. Yeah, I mean, man, eggs is $7 US money in some country. Bottled water is like $3. Oof. Okay. In general, which commodity is the most expensive? I should look at the what's here. In general, looking at these box plots, if I want to know in general which one's most expensive, I should look at the what's for these. If I want to know in general which one is most expensive, I should look at the what's for these. If I want to know in general, I should look at the what's for box plots. To be like, generally this one's the most expensive. In box plots, to know in general which one's the most expensive, look at the what. Don't even look at their answers yet. Just ask which one's generally the most expensive. So I should probably, if I'm answering this to somebody, I should say I should look at the what's. In general, which one's most expensive, I should look at the what. I've got a lot marked right here. So what are we going to look at to know in general which one's the most expensive? Is it the yellow, the outliers, the blue, the range, the red, the median? Not the outliers. That would be like extreme cases. Good answers, Blake, right there. Not the outliers. We're going to look in general would be the median, the 50th percentile. Like typically, like the median's a typical value. Like you'd expect things to be around the median because it's the center of the distribution. Great job, Eric Jackson. Good practice. That makes more sense. Yeah, no, Blake, great job right here. Keep answering those questions. And you're just being here practicing that when we say in general. So on average, they're saying on average. On average, a box plot cannot be used to justify which commodity is the most expensive. Always to say most. On average, a bottle of water is the most expensive of the three. Eggs. On average, a dozen eggs is the most expensive. The median, here we go right here. The median price is higher than the third quartile. Yeah, look at that. The median right here is higher than the third quartile. That's, but I wish they would not say on average. I guess they could because it's right skewed. You have to deduce that, but that's a little odd. Do not show how many. No, that's fine. If it says that one, I'm going to go crazy. Is a carton of eggs always more expensive than bottled water? No. Bottled water goes up to here, and eggs is down to here. No. Some of the water prices are above the minimum price of the carton of eggs. So some of the water prices, that is right there. Wait. This is interesting. This question should be more specific. I think it's asking about in the original data. So the way it's asking this is a little bit unclear because we don't know how the data pairs up. We don't know if in one country, yeah, I know, right? So I think there is not possible to tell. It is possible. Wait, the box plots just show. Wait. It is possible. Wait, it is not possible to tell. It is possible to pair up the data so that this is true or untrue. Yeah, that is. They're saying there's ways in which, yeah, it is possible. Like you could take values and start pairing them up so that eggs is always more expensive than water. It should say if you went to a country, will eggs always be more expensive than water? So I think that's what they're getting at. Is a carton of eggs ever more expensive? Okay. Yeah, and so this is what they're getting at right here. Is a carton of eggs ever more expensive than a loaf of bread? That you can tell by looking at this because the minimum for eggs is above the minimum for bread. So there has to be instances right here, and also the maximum right here. The maximum would probably be better. The maximum for eggs. Yes, there are several egg prices that are beyond all the bread prices. That right there. That third one is a mean question. Oh, and it's really, really no way. Wow. Please tell me if you answered that one. That is just such a we hit a not today my Pearson on that one. That is the way they're asking it. Who wrote this question? I know a lot of the old trick questions we have. See, I gotta tell Terry, we added a lot of new questions this semester, and I think we need to curate them a little bit just fine. But just the way you could do this and what I thought it was getting at. What I thought it was getting at is if you have data points like this right here, like let's say you have prices of, let's say these are eggs, and this is bread. So if the data were to pair, would you be able to go over question 3 on the homework tonight? I think I don't know. Which one's in it? Homework 3 due tonight. Which class? So if these were to be paired up this way, does this make sense right here? If it's paired this way, bread would always be what to eggs? If it's paired this way, bread would always be what to eggs? Like if we have a numeric scale right here, like $2 to $5. If it's paired this way, bread would always be what to eggs? Like we're saying like country by country pairing, like country green, country pink, country yellow. If it was paired that way, then bread would always be what to eggs? If it was paired this way. Homework 3. Oh, you're talking about 474, right, isn't it? And then which part are you wondering about with 474? So in this instance, bread is always more expensive than eggs. Like if we pair it like the way the data would look, here I'm gonna draw it out here visually. Is if you have here country A, B, C, and you have the price of eggs, and you have the price of bread, and then you go here and eggs is 2, 3, 4, and bread is 3, 4, 5, then we analyze the data and we compare it. Let's go here to graph and go to graph builder. We could compare the price of bread to the price of eggs. I want to do a split up. Really? I was doing it too. I want to do side by side. There we go. That's not right. It's not doing it. Let's do the following. Analyze. Distribution. Oh, I know what I need to do. Tables. Stack. Eggs. Bread. Good. And now analyze. Graph builder. Label. There we go. And data. Y variable of interest. There we go. So at all instances right here, we could put the country right here for the color. And now what we have shown is with country A, B, and C, is this making sense right here? Let me know. Points. I'm going very in depth. If they tell me I miss a question, I'll say no. If you take a look at this graphic right here, we'll just zoom in on it. Country A's price of bread is here. Country A's price of eggs is here. Country B's price of bread is here. Country C's price of eggs is here. Country C's price of bread is here, and price of eggs is here. So at all point, bread is higher than eggs. But theoretically speaking, the data could have a different structure, and that's what I'm pointing to by drawing it out over here. Theoretically speaking, with the same data points, it could be paired up differently, and that's what I thought they were getting at. Because if we talk about this right here, it could be that the bread costs this in this country and the egg costs this. Now, eggs cost more. And then we would see that the bread is way more expensive here, and it could be a huge disparity here. So you could have instances where there is a country where bread costs less than eggs. We don't know how the data is paired up. Really odd question that they would say that, and I'm wondering who wrote that because, yeah, I mean, the way the data is paired, there could be a country where bread costs less than eggs, but yeah, definitely, I need to talk to my Pearson rep about that one because there's also a question on the last homework that I actually had a wrong answer and I removed it, or had a question that changed the wording. Section 3. Which thing are you wondering about, Synod? Let me know. We're gonna do another My Pearson question. My Pearson, no. Let's do another My Pearson one here. Let me know, Synod. We've got just a little bit of time. We're in the OT right now. A study wants to determine. What does this study want to determine? A study wants to determine all the new questions. A study wants to determine. Wait, a student? A student wants to determine. Here it is. Here it is. A student wants to determine. A student wants to determine. One. My Pearson preying on our downfall. I like that, Shaq. Oh my gosh. 100 points right there, Shaq. I agree. My Pearson is the enemy of... They're the villain of this story arc. A student wants to determine... I think where the upper fence is, right? This is a great question. A student wants to determine if her data has an outlier. She has calculated Q1 to be this and Q3 to be this. The median... The median doesn't matter. Where is her upper fence? Where is the upper fence? So how do we find the upper fence? How do we find the upper fence? This is a great question. I love this question. How do we find the upper fence? Put the equation in the chat. Make sure you know it. You don't get this on the test. It was question 2 that asked us about the presidents and adults. I'm not sure if it's the same for you. Question 3. Oh, on the homework? Was that the... It was the one due last night, right? Oh, yes. Q3 or... And then you add or subtract the homework. Oh, thank you so much. And so it's that to a 1 question. So Q3, to find the upper fence, we need to do Q3 minus Q1 first. Why do we do Q3 minus Q1? Q3 minus Q1 will find us what? Why do we do Q3 minus Q1? And great job right there, Blake, solving it. Q3 minus Q1 will find us the what? That finds the what right there, which is 10 minus 4. So what is Q3 minus Q1? It's the 75th minus the 25th percentile. It's the box of the box plot. That finds the IQR right there. That's the IQR. So the IQR is important because we need to solve Q3 plus 1.5 IQR. Great job, Shaq, right there. Good answers, everybody in the chat. So now we know this is 6. Now that we know this is 6, we can just plug in our numbers. So we took Q3 minus Q1. We take Q3 right here. We have IQR right here. So we plug in our values. 10 plus 1.5 times 6 equals 2. 10 plus 9 equals 19. We did it. Nice and quick question. We like those. We love those math questions. And look, it gives us multiple choice. Check answer. Got it right. I think we got a few more right here. Synod, we'll try to get that one in there. I did it on another office hours. I think we have just enough time. A study report. So we did the load one earlier. So here we'll talk about, I'm going to do a quick solve of this one from last night, and then we'll probably end office hours here. So this is a quick solve of the one last night. Okay, we already heard that one. Chill music. This is a quick solve, and thank you everyone so much for being here, asking those questions. We did the load one earlier. We did both of those at the start of last office hours. Thank you for all the questions, asking those tough questions right here. And so this is the homework. We're looking for chapter 3 homework. It's the U.S. presidents and adults. We're going to do a quick solve of this. It was question 2 that asked about presidents and adults. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I found it. Okay, let's check out revisiting. We did National Vital Statistics report earlier, right? We did the load. Good deal. We did those. Okay. Stat 201. Chapter 3 homework. And you got the first part, but not the second. Let's check it out. So this is a research group. So here's the really good news is you can always redo the homework until the test. So if you have this question right here, make sure to redo it and get the grade. We're gonna do this a little bit quickly, but let's check it out. The first part's the easy part. It wants just the conditional distribution. The conditional distribution is going to be for only US presidents. So we need to go right here and take their values and divide by US presidents, which is 1055. So every one of these values right here is going to be divided by 1055 accordingly. So let's take those values, divide by 1055, 27 divided by 1055, and then we have to times by 100 and round to one decimal. So just make sure to not make an error or call me out when I make an error right here. 1055 times 100, copy paste, be very careful, errors do occur. And 630. Oh my gosh. 630 divided by 1055 times 100. Almost there. Look at this one. This one's easy over here. 0. 0 divided by 1035. Now 177 divided by... Remember to subtract. Yep. Blake knows where we're going. Great job, Blake. That's going to be the trick to the last part. Great job, Blake. It's a bit of an odd question at the end right there. And there's that. That's going to round to an 8. And Blake, 500 points dropping those hints on how to do this last part, because this is where the error is going to occur on the last part right here. Check the answers. We got this right. I had a hard time when it asked me for the president to be added to the only 3 sections. So what this is doing right here is it's only looking at the negatives are going to be the poor, and the middle will be the only fair, and the positive will be the good, excellent. So what they're doing right here, and this is for only US adults, is they're taking and kind of segmenting the data down. Now we're only looking at US adults right now. Oops, wrong thing. And we're putting in this data right here. We'll highlight it. But they don't mention using this. So we're going to just cross that out right there. We might need to see it. So we're going to cross that out because it doesn't use it. It's not part of the total now. And these are the answers. So now when we do this, the new total, there was 65 there. So we need to do 65 minus, or 2151 minus 65. So 2086. Yep, Blake's giving some great advice right there. 2086. And so that should be it. 312. 312 divided by 2086 times by 100. Copy, paste, and that's going to round to 15. Nice and neat and round. And let's take a look. 2086. 910 times by 100, 43.6. And then right here, last but not least, 747 plus 117 divided by 2086 times by 100. Now, what is a final check I can do here to make sure I got these right? What is a final check? And I'll do it right here as I speak. What is a final check? And it might not come out perfect, but it should come out kind of close. What is a final check I can do to make sure my frequency table, or relative frequency table in this instance, is looking pretty good right here? What is a final decent check I can do to make sure it's looking pretty good for how frequency or relative frequency? Add them together right there. Great job, Shaq, right there. Add them together, make sure it pretty much adds up to 100. And that's got it. So good work right there. Oh, no, you got it. Yeah, that was totally it. Add them together. Make sure it adds up to about 100 just because of some decimal differences, the way they're carried. Yeah, you got it. Totally. Shaq, W right there. 500 points in the chat. We love it when people are answering those questions. Thank you, Shaq, for being here. We did a lot of work today, so everyone check it out. We fought my Pearson as per usual, and we won today. But here's all the work from today. I'll be adding these to the videos shortly right here, probably right now. Some foxes in the chat. And thank you, Sinit, so much. Sinit, we're throwing you another big 500 points too, because please know you can work on the homeworks till the test. So you can improve your homework grade. You can't improve your quiz grade, but you can always be improving that homework grade. So if you missed a question on the homework, come in here and ask. Hey, I didn't get that one last night on the homework. I want to get it right though. So shout outs right there. Work on those. Get them done. Everything we've done today so far, busy day. But until next time, you're welcome, Shaq. Thank you so much. We'll be here next time. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.